Let's talk real quickly about things that didn't make the list.
Yeah.
And these are things that probably make up at least 60% of American media coverage.
Like?
Trump's tweets.
Yeah.
White House intrigue.
Yeah.
Russia investigation.
Yeah.
As illuminated by a book I just finished reading, and you just
Fire
read it
and
too.
Fury.
Fire and Fury.
Love it.
By Michael Wolff. He's a neighbor of yours.
He is a neighbor of mine.
I just finished it yesterday.
Okay.
Are we collectively, are we paying attention to the wrong stuff? Is this all distraction? Is this entertainment? While we should be looking at things like the things that are on your
it depends on who's we.
Right.
As my mother would say, do you have a rat in your pocket? I mean, we, the average American feels that politics are not useful to them. And if they're watching, it's meant as entertainment or as supporting their own pre-baked convictions, right? And so, I mean, in that regard, the fact that what we're consuming are headlines that are completely ephemeral. They go away in a day, but they make me say, "Love Trump," or they make me say, "What an." That's that is what we're oriented towards.
Right.
Now,
like sports.
But if we're talking, it is like sports. It's absolutely like sports. It's as meaningless as sports. Trump's tweets are almost as meaningless as sports. They are used by people for their own political purposes in a way that sports are not.
Right.
I'm not talking about World Cup stuff.
Well, there's NFL. There's an NFL which was used.
There was that. That's true. No, he's using sports.
Right. He's using sports.
And effectively for his base. That was one of the smarter things he did from a narrow political perspective. I mean, 70% black players, mostly white fans. How dare these millionaires that we allow to make money desecrate our national anthem? I mean, the identity politics stuff there was very clear and put a lot of pressure on the NFL, frankly. But so he knows how to manipulate that stuff. But if you ask me, do the tweets matter for policy? Do they really create greater risks? I mean, look, Fire and Fury has sold over 1 million copies. It will be the most sold and talked about book of any presidency in history. And yet, all it basically says is Trump isn't fit to be president. And here's a whole bunch of people that say that.
Yeah.
We all knew that when we voted for him.
Is it credible? Do you think it's a credible account?
80% to 90%, I think, is probably right on the basis of the people I talked to in the White House and outside. Sure. But the point is, we knew all of this.
Right.
All this is more grist for a mainstream media mill that is trying at all times to put out stuff that makes Trump look like a 2-year-old. And I did not spend any time in our top risk report trying to make Trump look like a 2-year-old, because I don't think that's relevant. We know that the American president only matters so much, that the administration matters a lot more. We know that most of the reason we're in a G0 has very little to do with the president, and that most of it that has to do with Trump is symptomatic of something structural that's been going on in the U.S. for a long time. It's much more important to understand how it was that someone like Trump could be elected, given that we knew everything about Fire and Fury before we elected him. Right? I mean, this guy was one of the most open books, one of the most talked about characters, one of the most reviled and disputed and litigated against characters in American history.
For decades, sure.
For decades. And suddenly Fire and Fury is like, oh my God, he's not fit to be president.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Newsflash. Yeah.
Shocking. There's gambling happening in that casino. Shocking. That is not news. And I mean, God bless Michael Wolff for understanding the zeitgeist of the American public and profiting off it personally.
Yeah.
It does show that anyone with an idea and the right space in America can make it big. It is true. And that if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Again, true. But in terms of actual impact on policy, this is about branding. This is about entertainment. This is a case study for how to work a system to promote yourself, which a lot of people today are very interested in. Very interested in.
That's true. Narcissism.
Narcissism. I mean, I think you'd be hard. I mean, when you look at Michael Wolff and Donald Trump together, and then add Steve Bannon to the mix, it's an extraordinary cocktail of narcissism, right? I mean, it's virtually unprecedented.